The bold and the beautiful has always thrived on the fragile boundary between professional loyalty and personal betrayal, where a single discovery can unravel not only a relationship but an entire family legacy. On a night when Los Angeles seems to have finally fallen silent, that boundary begins to fracture inside the glass-walled offices of Forrester Creations, where ambition, history, and secrecy coexist under carefully curated lighting. It is well past midnight, the kind of hour when truths feel heavier because there are no distractions left to soften them. RJ remains alone, surrounded by sketches, fabric samples, and digital mock-ups, pushing himself through exhaustion because the upcoming collaboration is too important to fail. To him, this project is more than business. It is proof that his instincts matter, that his place within the Forrester dynasty is earned rather than inherited, and that his creative voice deserves to be heard alongside giants who have defined the brand for decades. As RJ scrolls through archived design files and internal databases, his focus is sharp but his mind is restless. The pressure he carries is not purely professional. He feels the weight of responsibility toward the people he loves, especially those who have come to rely on stability after years of emotional upheaval. When a staff member's medical emergency requires immediate verification of insurance and treatment authorization, RJ does what he has always done. He steps in. He accesses interconnected systems not out of curiosity, but necessity, following pathways that were built to allow departments to communicate in moments of urgency. It is a mundane act, routine and unremarkable, until it leads him somewhere he was never meant to see. The system reroutes him through a secured medical portal tied to the clinic run by Finn, a man whose name alone carries implications of trust, professionalism, and devotion to family. RJ has always regarded Finn with cautious respect. He is aware of the controversies that have surrounded him, the complicated lineage, the difficult choices, but at the center of it all stands Finn's marriage to Steffi, a union that represents resilience after trauma. RJ believes in that marriage not because it is perfect, but because Steffi fought for it with every ounce of strength she had left. To RJ, Finn's role is not simply that of a husband or a doctor. He is a guardian of Steffi's hard-won peace. When the screen freezes for a moment, then refreshes into a security video interface, RJ does not immediately understand what he is seeing. The timestamp is recent. The location is unmistakably Finn's office. At first, the image looks innocuous. Two figures standing closer than professional protocol would normally allow. Perhaps a moment of reassurance. A conversation carried by emotion rather than formality. RJ almost clicks away, instinctively respecting boundaries. Then the movement shifts, subtle but undeniable. A hand lingers. A face tilts upward. Lips meet. The camera captures the moment with unforgiving clarity, stripping away all plausible deniability. RJ's breath catches as recognition sets in. The man is Finn. There is no mistaking his posture, his gestures, the familiarity of his presence. The woman, however, is not Steffi. She is younger, unfamiliar, her features entirely foreign to the Forrester orbit. RJ feels a wave of disbelief crash through him, followed by something sharper, more corrosive. He rewinds the footage, zooms in, scrutinizes every frame as though precision might somehow soften the blow. It does not. The intimacy is unmistakable. The setting makes it worse. This is not a fleeting indiscretion at a bar or a moment of weakness hidden behind anonymity. This is Finn's professional space. A place bound by ethics and trust, now violated by an act that shatters both. In that instant, RJ's internal world fractures. He is no longer simply a designer working late. He becomes a witness, unwilling and unprepared, to a truth that threatens to destabilize everything his family has fought to protect. His first instinct is denial. He tells himself there must be context missing. That footage can be misleading. That appearances deceive. But the longer he watches, the more those rationalizations collapse under the weight of evidence. The betrayal is layered, not just personal but institutional. Finn has crossed a line not only as a husband but as a physician. And Steffi, who trusted him with her heart and her healing, is nowhere in this frame. Anger follows disbelief, but it is a controlled anger, sharpened by purpose. RJ does not panic. He saves the file, secures it, and closes the system with deliberate care. Every step he takes afterward feels heavier, as though the truth itself has mass. He knows that once this secret is acknowledged, it cannot be unseen. The question is no longer whether to act, but how, and at what cost. Silence would preserve surface harmony, but it would also make him complicit. Speaking out would protect Steffi, but it would ignite consequences that could engulf more than one family. RJ does not sleep that night. By morning, his resolve has crystallized into something unyielding. He goes to Finn's apartment not as an accuser seeking drama, but as a guardian demanding accountability. The confrontation is stripped of theatrics. RJ presents the footage, demands explanation, and waits. Finn's response is not remorse, nor fear, but controlled deflection. He claims manipulation, insists the video is doctored, accuses RJ of misunderstanding context and overstepping boundaries. There is a chill in Finn's demeanor, a calculated calm that feels rehearsed, as though he has prepared for this possibility long before RJ ever discovered the truth. RJ listens, but he does not yield. The trust he once extended to Finn has evaporated, replaced by clarity sharpened through betrayal. He tells Finn, plainly and without hesitation, that he will not allow Steffi to be deceived, that he will not watch another Forrester woman be emotionally dismantled by a man who hides behind excuses. This is not about revenge or scandal, it is about truth. Finn's response escalates. The denial hardens into a warning. He speaks of fallout, of consequences that could devastate reputations, careers, and families alike. The implication is clear: silence is safer, exposure is dangerous. For a brief moment, RJ feels the weight of that threat settle into his chest. He understands the power Finn wields, the networks he is connected to, the chaos that could follow if this information becomes public. But fear does not eclipse conviction. It sharpens it. RJ realizes that this is the exact moment where character is defined. Not by talent or ambition, but by the willingness to act when silence would be easier. He leaves Finn's apartment with the footage secured, his anger now transformed into purpose. As RJ steps back into the world, the city feels different, as though every streetlight is now a witness to what he carries. He knows the road ahead will be brutal. Exposing the truth will fracture trust, invite scrutiny, and possibly destroy lives. But he also knows that protecting Steffi's reality matters more than preserving a lie. The Forrester legacy has survived scandal, betrayal, and heartbreak because, at its core, it is built on resilience rather than denial. This moment marks a turning point not only for RJ, but for everyone connected to Finn and Steffi. The video is more than evidence, it is a catalyst. It forces questions that cannot be ignored. How many truths have been buried under the guise of protection? How often has silence been mistaken for loyalty? And at what point does preserving peace become an act of betrayal in itself? RJ's journey from late-night diligence to moral reckoning embodies the quiet tragedy and relentless drama that define the bold and the beautiful. There are no villains twirling mustaches in the shadows here, only flawed people making choices that ripple outward in unforeseen ways. As RJ prepares to face the consequences of what he knows, one thing becomes painfully clear: the truth does not care about timing, comfort, or collateral damage. It demands to be seen. And once seen, it demands action. No matter how devastating the cost, the bold and the beautiful does not allow revelations like RJ's to remain isolated for long. Truth, once unearthed, has a gravitational pull, drawing every relationship, every unresolved fear, into its orbit. RJ leaves Finn's apartment with the night air pressing against him like a verdict. The city humming indifferently as if it has not just been entrusted with a secret capable of detonating an entire family. He walks without direction for several blocks, replaying the confrontation again and again, searching Finn's words for a crack that might suggest innocence, remorse, or even panic. He finds none. What lingers instead is Finn's composure, the calculated steadiness of a man who believes he can still control the narrative. That realization hardens RJ's resolve more effectively than anger ever could. Back at Forrester Creations, the building feels unfamiliar, its glass corridors reflecting a version of RJ that is older, heavier, and far less naive than the one who stayed late chasing creative validation. He locks himself in his office and reviews the footage again, this time not as a shocked observer but as a reluctant prosecutor. He studies Finn's posture, the way the woman's hand rests with ease on his shoulder, the intimacy that cannot be manufactured by editing tricks. Each frame reinforces what RJ already knows but still resists accepting. This is not a misunderstanding. And it is not isolated. It is a choice, repeated and normalized, hidden behind privilege and silence. RJ's thoughts drift inevitably to Steffi. He imagines her laugh, sharp and resilient, the way she carries herself with a strength forged through betrayal after betrayal. She has rebuilt her life so many times that the idea of being the bearer of another collapse feels cruel. Yet RJ also understands that Steffi's strength has always been anchored in truth, not illusion. To protect her by withholding reality would be to participate in the very betrayal he despises. This internal conflict gnaws at him, forcing him to confront a painful truth about himself. Doing the right thing does not feel noble in the moment. It feels isolating. The next morning brings no clarity, only urgency. Rumors are already swirling in Finn's world. Whispers of a patient transfer. A scheduling anomaly. A nurse quietly reassigned. RJ recognizes the signs of damage control. Finn is moving pieces, preparing for containment. The threat he issued was not emotional, it was logistical. RJ knows that waiting will only allow Finn to strengthen his defenses. Time, in this case, favors deception. RJ's first instinct is to go to Steffi directly. To put the truth in her hands and let her decide what comes next. He rehearses the conversation in his mind, each version ending in the same image. Steffi's face tightening as she absorbs the betrayal. The familiar mask of composure slipping just enough to reveal the wound beneath. He stops himself, not because she does not deserve to know, but because he understands the scale of what this revelation will trigger. Once spoken, it cannot be contained between them. It will spill into legal implications, medical boards, family loyalties, and the ever-hungry public eye. Steffi deserves truth, but she also deserves strategy. RJ turns instead to the only other constant he trusts, the Forrester sense of accountability. He confides in Ridge, choosing precision over emotion, laying out the discovery, the confrontation, and the threat exactly as it unfolded. Ridge listens in silence, the kind that signals not disbelief but calculation. When RJ finishes, Ridge does not ask if the footage is real. He asks who else could be harmed if it surfaces. That question, more than any other, confirms RJ's fear. This is bigger than infidelity. It is institutional. Meanwhile, Finn feels the pressure tightening. He senses shifts in Steffi's demeanor, small hesitations, questions left unfinished. She does not accuse him, but her eyes linger in ways they did not before, searching for inconsistencies she has trained herself to ignore. Finn doubles down on normalcy, offering reassurances that sound rehearsed even to himself. He convinces himself that control is still possible, that RJ's youth and idealism make him predictable. Finn underestimates one crucial factor, RJ's refusal to be intimidated. As the days pass, RJ's isolation deepens, but so does his clarity. He gathers corroborating details, not to amplify scandal, but to protect against dismissal. He learns that the woman in the video is not a random patient but someone whose appointments were deliberately scheduled outside standard hours. Each discovery sharpens the moral line Finn has crossed, transforming suspicion into certainty. RJ is no longer chasing truth, he is carrying it. The breaking point comes unexpectedly. During a quiet family moment when Steffi mentions how grateful she is for stability. How rare peace feels in their world. The words land on RJ like a challenge. He realizes that delaying any longer would make him complicit in preserving a lie that will eventually implode with even greater force. That night he makes his decision. RJ meets Steffi not as an accuser or a savior, but as a brother who respects her agency. He shows her the footage without commentary, allowing the truth to speak for itself. The silence that follows is devastating. Steffi does not cry immediately. She watches again, then again, as if repetition might alter reality. When she finally looks at RJ, there is no shock left, only a profound, aching recognition. She has lived this moment before, and that familiarity hurts more than surprise ever could. Steffi does not confront Finn right away. Instead, she retreats inward, assessing not just the betrayal, but the patterns that led to it. She understands now why RJ was threatened, why denial was Finn's first response. This was never about a mistake, it was about entitlement. When she finally faces Finn, her calm is unnerving. She does not raise her voice or demand explanations. She asks one question only, whether he would have ever told her if he had not been exposed. Finn's inability to answer seals his fate more decisively than any argument. The fallout is swift and merciless. Professional investigations begin quietly, then accelerate. Finn's warnings about catastrophe prove hollow as accountability takes precedence over protection. The Forrester family closes ranks not to shield wrongdoing, but to ensure it does not metastasize unchecked. RJ watches from the periphery as the truth he uncovered reshapes lives. Aware that his own innocence has been lost in the process. In the aftermath, RJ stands alone again in the offices of Forrester Creations, surrounded by designs that suddenly feel trivial compared to the cost of integrity. He has done what he believed was right, and yet the victory feels muted, edged with grief. The legacy he inherits now is not just creative, but ethical, forged in the understanding that loyalty without honesty is just another form of betrayal. As the city lights glow outside, RJ knows that nothing will ever be simple again. But he also knows this, the truth, once chosen, becomes a compass. And even in the wreckage it leaves behind, it points forward, demanding courage from anyone willing to follow where it
Oh,